everyone, my name is Swati and welcome to 𝗟𝗶𝗵𝑠T, a place where we explore the exciting world of human resource management. So today we are going to reorganize the way you approach human resources. Just imagine you have an HR department in your organization that not only manages the employees but propels them towards greatness. Yes, that's the power we are going to unlock in this video today. So whether you are launching a startup or strengthening an established empire, this video is the key to supercharge your business growth. So do watch this video till end, because by the end of this video, you'll get the valuable strategies needed to establish a powerful HR department in your organization to restructure your business approach. And before moving ahead, I request you to please hit the subscribe button and bell icon so that you don't miss the future updates about useful topics like this. Now let's quickly get into the details of HR excellence. Let us first understand the basics of HR department. So human resources is the department of your company that deals with all personnel related topics and issues. They can serve as the point of contact for your employees and managers and governing bodies to ensure that your company is abiding by the law. The department is also there to help your overall organization succeed through its people. Whether it is known as your people team or people operations team, the idea here is that HR has an ever widening scope. They are no longer simply limited to administrative tasks. Instead, your HR department should focus on people and helping them succeed. So as companies grow, they require structure. That's because startups and smaller companies tend to create a family atmosphere and corporate culture. But above a certain size, everything changes. After a certain amount of growth, the HR department must professionalize itself while actively taking care of corporate culture and employee retention. There are many studies and researches which tells us about the number of HRs required per employee basis, and the issue and concern of starting HR department are affected by many factors like current size, the expected growth of the organization, the amount of support and infrastructure already in place, industry, organizational vision and culture, and many more such things. So instead of relying on general figures, you should determine your own HR staffing needs. You can learn how to do this while defining a structure for your HR department in the upcoming part of this video, as we have divided this video into these two categories. Beginning with the first part of our video, that is creating HR department in a startup or new facility. Many small organizations start out with the owner or a non-HR executive handling employment issues in the beginning, and there is no one best way to implement an HR department but establishing a plan that best meets the organization's goal while maintaining legal compliance is necessary. 3 steps to evaluate the structure of your HR department. Firstly, list out all the tasks you need to take care of in the future and assign priorities to those tasks. Identify the critical issues that present a particular challenge and could prove to be a bottleneck for continued business growth. Some common examples include these. By identifying these areas of focus, you are already laying the groundwork for a future HR structure. What you may need is an employee to specifically take care of these areas. Now comes the difficult part, because if you skip this or do it half-heartedly, the efficiency of your HR will decrease as the size of a company grows. Because in small companies, HR works on demand with informal processes. Now you need to define the fixed process to handle the extra work. So here are few key points that you should keep in mind while defining your HR processes, along with an example of recruitment process. When it comes to your processes, make sure to keep them aligned with your priorities at this stage of time. Kick things off with the critical areas and work out the others later on. Third is to implement the HR software for the processes that you defined previously, because with the software supported processes, you can easily save half or entire position in personal administration, or you can assign an employee to other tasks instead. Which software you use will help determine how your processes will look. You can automate many tasks right from the start. So data interfaces make it much easier to collaborate with payroll offices and other external service providers. And also remember that you are not supposed to put off implementing new software if you introduced manual processes in the beginning and only switching to software later. You will have to change your workflow twice, and this is the unnecessary waste of cost and time. Once the groundwork of structuring your HR department is done, here is the list of activities that you need to perform in order to frame the perfect HR department for your organization. Hiring a qualified and experienced HR professional is not an easy task for a startup, and some employers may turn to an external recruiter, HR consultant, or outsourced HR organization to help staff the HR department. Most often, a one-person HR department or solo practitioner would be staffed as an HR generalist or as an HR manager in the organization. When screening candidates for the HR department, organizations should consider the following attributes. The HR person's responsibility is to align the HR department's budget with the organization's strategic goals while following organizational guidelines and procedures. Budgeting involves the systematic collection of information and data so that the monetary resources needed to support an organization's objective can be projected. New organizations have no prior budget to use for comparison, therefore projecting and estimating are required for the initial HR budget. From HR perspective, the data needed to create a new budget include these points. Projections may be simple or complicated and will heavily depend on the nature of the expenses and the data available. HR managers preparing a budget for the first time will need to gather every source of available data to make educated projections. Setting up a payroll system is a high priority. HR professionals need to work with the payroll vendor to help reduce administrative burden and to assist with payroll compliance. Outsourcing to third-party administrators for payroll and related tax duties help busy employers meet filing deadlines and deposit requirements. Once a payroll system is established, payroll must be administered regularly. The organization needs to determine if payroll administration will fall under human resources or finance. The payroll administrator must understand federal and state wage and hour laws. HR should work with management to gain an understanding of the short and long-term staffing needs and budget, as it will determine the composition and content of the workforce required to position the organization for current and future business objectives. HR creates a 3 to 6 month staffing plan and budget to determine how much time and activity need to be expended on properly staffing the organization. Longer term staffing plans may influence HR department staffing needs as well. If HR does not have an accurate list of open positions, the first step is to compile this. With the open position list in hand, HR works with hiring managers to lay out a recruiting plan. Next, HR should determine the best sourcing activities for meeting the organization's staffing needs. And finally, HR must oversee the process of organizational entry, which is referred to onboarding or orientation process. Developing a fair and competitive pay structure is one of the major aspects in attracting and retaining the talent. The organizations need to determine what benefits are mandatory and what voluntary benefits it wants to provide to their employees. Building a market-based pay structure from scratch encompasses several steps like these. So after performing these necessary steps, few basic things are required to be taken care of, like employee handbook, which is an essential tool for communicating workplace culture, benefits, employment policy information to the employees. The HR professional is required to ensure safety laws are implemented and followed within the organization. They are also required to set the processes in place for maintaining employee records. And lastly, having an educated HR team that is well prepared to deal with the managerial level or maybe higher level of employees for smooth functioning of the processes. Coming up to the second part of the video, that is starting an HR department in an existing organization. Being charged with establishing a HR department in an existing organization can appear overwhelming. Often HR professionals are just not sure where to start. The key to success, as with most things, is to begin by listening, observing, and learning about the organization. Finding out what the expectations are for the new job and the human resource department is essential. HR professionals can start by asking questions like, what was the purpose for creating this new department? Who made the decision to create the position, and who understands the inner working of the organization and knows the key decision makers? How were human resource activities handled in the past and by whom? What is the culture of the workplace? Here are 3 major steps to implement while developing the HR department in an existing organization. Even in an organization without a formal HR department, HR-related policies have been created and tasks are being performed. Instead of starting from scratch, HR professionals can take stock of what HR activities are currently being done in the organization and evaluate them. HR audit can help evaluate the effectiveness and performance of HR programs and services and expose opportunities to enhance, change, or remove programs and processes. Here are some sample questions to start an HR assessment related to some basic HR processes that needs to be followed in every organization. As stated before, in-depth reviews may be needed in certain areas. Next, HR professionals should create a plan and share it with the senior management to gain input and, most important, buy-in. The next step is to summarize overall impressions and prioritize specific action items based on assessment results, keeping in mind budget implications for each item. HR managers should classify these projects and actions as high, medium, or low priority according to legal compliance and benefit to the organization. Next, they should develop a timeline for action on the highest priority items that can be accomplished in the next 3 to 6 months. Included would be cost projections, why the tasks need to be done, and the anticipated end results. They should also discuss how these actions will affect the bottom line, demonstrating how a HR department benefit the organization's operation in terms of profit, productivity, increased business, reduced liability, and employee satisfaction. There is no one best way to structure a HR department. Of course, the size of an organization affects the number of staff in HR. Other factors include employer growth, culture, organizational structure, strategy, industry, and client needs. When an organization determines the more than one HR staff member is necessary, it must decide what level of HR position is needed. Instead of increasing the size of your HR department, you could automate or outsource more processes. This gives existing employees more freedom again and allows them to take on new topics or new roles. Make all decisions based on your previously defined goals and roadmap, which you regularly review and adjust. This way, you can be sure to find the best possible HR structure for you and thus save the way for the future growth of your company. I hope I am able to help you in defining the HR department in your organization in a more strategic way. If so, please hit the like button and share your feedback in the comment section, and also subscribe the channel to get connected with HR Administ.